Hello everyone, happy Hispanic Heritage Month from me to you guys. So today we have a reading vlog where I'm going to be reading 3 different spooky books by Hispanic authors. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you guys updates, reviews, and then at the very end, we're going to come together and I'm going to tell you my rankings from the book that I least liked up until the book that I most liked. The 3 books that I'm going to be vlogging are Monstrilio by Gerardo Samana Cordova. We have Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And then we have The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez. So these are the 3 books that I'm going to be reading for this reading vlog. Let's talk a little about what each book is about. The first one is a collection of short horror stories set in Argentina, I believe, written against the backdrop of contemporary Argentina. Okay, so this is about Argentina. So it's a collection of short stories from there. And then we have a Mexican Gothic, which I was told is very much like The Hacienda, which was like an okay book for me. This one is, we are basically following our main character, and our main character has to go to this like haunted house. This house is like supposedly haunted to take care of her cousin. And then it's obviously haunted, so things happen. So that's what this one is about. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we have Monstrilio or Monstrilio in English. And this one, we are following our main character, who is a mother, and basically her son ends up passing away. And when he passes away, she keeps his lung because that's what would keep him alive. And then the lung starts to grow and it becomes this like little monster that she sees as like her son. And so she feels protected to it. It's kind of like a modern Frankenstein retelling. So that's that one. So I'm going to be reading these 3, and I'm hoping for the best. I'm very excited, and at the very end, I'm going to let you know what my ranking is for these 3 books. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello you guys, I am here to give you guys an update on the dangers of smoking in bed. I am now about this much through it, so I want to say halfway, if not a little bit more. And I didn't update you on like the 100-page mark like I usually do, because honestly, I am at my 100-page mark, and that just happens to be the middle of the book. So in this one, we are basically following a collection of short stories by Mariana Enriquez, and we are following several different like Latin American countries. I think we even did Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Yeah, written against the backdrop of contemporary Argentina, but there are some stories that take place in other Latin American and Hispanic like locations as well. And so far, I am enjoying each and every story. It is creepy, it is eerie, and it just like hits that like Hispanic like spot. You know what I mean? Like growing up as a Hispanic girl, as a Hispanic woman, I grew up with a lot of like ghost stories and urban legends, and these stories just hit that spot, almost like a cozy feeling. And so I'm enjoying this a lot. There actually has not been a story that I don't like. Pretty much every story in here I've enjoyed a lot. Um, and yes, so I'm having a really good time. I really am enjoying these stories. I notice that I always say I'm having a good time. Well, I am having a good time. Okay. Plus, by the way, do you guys like my microphone? I got this on the TikTok shop. So yes, so that's an update on the dangers of smoking in bed. So far, so good. And I am so happy to be kicking off Hispanic Heritage Month with a book by Mariana Enriquez, who is, I believe, an Argentinian author. So it's going great. Hello everyone, so I am here and I am back with a final review on Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez. This is a collection of short horror stories, and I have read a few short story collections in my life, and after the last short story horror collection that I read, I'm like, maybe it's not my cup of tea. But then I read this one and I really had a good time reading this, to be honest with you. Out of the 14 stories, I believe there's 12 to 14 stories. I can't remember how many. I liked the majority of them. I think there was only like 2 or 3 that I didn't enjoy. Anyways, as I was saying, so there is a collection of, I want to say there's like 12 to 14 stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there's 12 stories in here. So there's 12 stories in here, and I think out of the 12 stories, I didn't like about 2 or 3 of them. So overall, right? That's a pretty good score. That's like 10 out of 12, 9 out of 12, okay? That's an overall pretty good score. Obviously, when they're short story collections, there's a very unlikely chance that you're gonna enjoy each and every story. So the fact that I enjoyed like 90, I don't even know, I can't, my brain can't figure out the percent. If you guys want to do it, a good percent of it is like a good sign. So I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars because these stories kind of reminded me, I don't know if it's the fact that it was like a Hispanic Latinx author or the fact that it was, I don't know what it was, but there was something about these stories that kind of mimicked the stories that I would hear in my childhood. It kind of like matched the stories that like my tias would tell us, and my mom would tell us, and my abuelita would tell us, you know, like stories like that. And I don't know if that nostalgia or what it was, that's what made me like this story collection even more. I don't know what it was that like it just spoketh to me. And I don't know, I had a good time reading this, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So that's the first book in my Hispanic reading vlog for Hispanic Heritage Month. So let's move on to the next one. Hello everyone. So I realized that I have not given my first update for Mexican Gothic, even though I am currently 60% in. So let me just give you my update for this. So in this one, we are basically following our main character, Noemi. And Noemi, she gets into trouble, I guess, with her father. She seems to be from like a classy family when her father asks her to go take care of her cousin or go figure out what's going on with her cousin, and he does this so that, you know, he says, oh, if you check up on your cousin and you give me updates and stuff, you know, we'll see about you getting your degree in something. I forgot what she wanted to do. So she decides to go check up on her cousin, and her cousin, she really loves her because this cousin always took care of her like growing up, and she was like always there for her. And so she's like, okay, I'm gonna go check on my cousin, and we're gonna, you know, make sure that she's okay, because her cousin was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Now when she gets to this home, it's a little odd. The family there has very strange rules. They seem to just not want to be very social. They don't really want to talk much to Noemi. They don't really want her to know any of their business. And not only that, but they don't really want Noemi going to town. Um, and her cousin soon starts asking her for like, I need an elixir, I need this, I need this. Like this will help me. And Naomi's like, oh well, you know, like they said you shouldn't be taking these. And she's like, no, but this will really help me. And it ends up getting Naomi into a lot of trouble. And soon we start to see that things are not right with this house. In fact, Noemi soon hears that it's like cursed. Either the house is cursed or the family's cursed. And because of this, maybe something's going on with the cousin that we just do not know. The house has a very dark history. The family has a very dark history. And so we're just piecing together what exactly is going on. Now the house is starting to act very strange, and you got little hints that something was up with this house when her cousin would be like, "Oh, the walls are listening and this and that." And yes, something seems to be going something is up with this house. But anyways, that's kind of where I'm at. Noemi's also having these like weird vivid dreams that are quite strange. Right now it's like it's not terrible, but it's like not I don't know. I still can't get into it. So it's looking like a three star, 2.5, 3 star for me. It's not bad enough to the point where I want to put it down and be like DNF. No, no, no. I think I'm just gonna push through and just listen to the rest, but it's not looking so hot. So there's that. So that's my update for Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Right, we are back with a review on Mexican Gothic by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. So I really wanted to like this book. I really did. In it, we are following our main character, Noemi. Noemi basically goes to Mexico and she has to take care of her cousin, and she's like a socialite, or she has like a lot of money or something like that, and she goes to take care of her cousin, and then she starts to pick up on things that are happening with her cousin and that might be associated with the family, that the family might be cursed, or that the house that she's staying in is cursed. And things happen from there, like without going into further detail, so not to spoil anything. This book, like, I really wanted to like it. However, I have read one other book by Sylvia Moreno Garcia and I was very disappointed by it. I don't know if it's the fact that maybe historical fiction is just not my cup of tea. In the past, it's never been my cup of tea, to be honest with it. I don't think I've ever liked a historical fiction novel that I've read. So maybe that's what it is, but I wasn't shocked by anything, even though I should have been. It's not that I like expected it, but it just wasn't shocking to me. It just didn't have the effects that the author intended for it to have. I wasn't really tied down to any of the characters, even the characters that we were supposed to care about, have sympathy for. Didn't really care. I don't know. Like, this story was just not storying for me. So I ended up giving this one, I'm gonna give it between like 2 to 3 stars, 2.5 stars. Didn't really have a great time. Didn't hate it because I managed to finish it, right? But I didn't love it. It was just lacking in giving me that like, wow, like I had no attachment to the story, to the characters, to anything. And again, I don't know if it's because I don't like historical fiction, and maybe I don't even know why I even try with historical fiction. At this point, I'm just like, I want to go through all the books that I own, and anything that's historical fiction, just toss it, or not toss it, but like give it away or something, because I'm obviously not gonna like it. Because to this point, I still have not liked not one single historical fiction book ever. This is probably just not for me. Hey guys, so I'm here to give you guys an update on Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. So I actually just started this book a couple days ago, and it's so funny because I literally started it the day of Mary Shelley's birthday, which is like the author of Frankenstein, and this is considered a brilliant and bizarre modern Frankenstein, as you can see there. And so it's so funny that I started on Mary Shelley's birthday. That was not intentional. So I just felt like that was meant to be. However, I find that for some reason, my body, my mind, first, I don't know why, it just does not want to reach for this book physically. Like, physically, every time I reach for it, I just set it back down. Like, I don't know, I have no drive to pick this up, and it's good, but I don't know if it's like my brain is just telling me like you need to, like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. So I'm actually probably going to be switching to the audiobook version of this just because for some reason the physical version is just not, I don't know, it's not pulling me for some reason. You know, like usually when I pick up a book, I'm like excited to pick it up and I'm like, oh, I got to continue where I left off and figure out what's going on next. And for this one, I don't, it's like my brain is like repelling picking this book up. I'll pick it up and move it to another location, another room, but I cannot for the life of me pick it up and actually read it. So I'm just letting you know, even though it's very early on, I know I haven't hit my 100-page mark where I usually give you guys my first updates. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be switching over to the audiobook version of this because my brain cannot handle the physical. The physical. The physical. The physical. Okay, that's it. So I'll update you when I get to page 100 of this book. Alright, I have no updates for you now because it's so early on. Alright, I will see you with the next update from Monstrilio. Hi everyone, I have a update on Monstrilio. So it is Monstrilio. I thought it was Monstrilio and then I was saying Monstrilio. It is Monstrilio because that is the creature's name. So Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. So I am now 118 pages in and it is definitely getting much better. I felt like the pacing was very slow. Our main character, I don't know what to make of her. Like, she is very, like, hot and cold. Like, there's times where I think, like, this woman is a sociopath. But then there's times where she breaks down and she actually cares for the people that are around her. And I'm like, okay, so she has feelings. So she might not be a psychopath, a sociopath. So I'm very indifferent about this, like, main character, the mother. But basically now what we have going on is, you know, in the very beginning, this is not a spoiler, literally it happens the first chapter, this woman and her husband are laying down with their son and their son ends up passing away because of a disease that he had. So he had one lung that kept him going. That lung is what kept him alive for so long because the doctors literally told him as soon as your baby comes out of the womb, like, your baby's probably gonna die, right? And so they're like, okay, this baby's not gonna survive that long. That baby made it to, I believe, like 9 years old before he passed away, something like that. And so he made it till 9 years old, and then he ends up finally passing away in his sleep. And the mom, like, the dad starts crying, and he has, like, all this grief, and the mom, like, she's just, like, numb to it. And instead, the way that she reacts, she opens her son up and takes his lung because she heard a story that her mother told, or someone, I forgot who told her this story, that if you can, like, feed kind of like feeding a plant and it will grow. And so she starts feeding the lung and giving things to the lung, and eventually the lung turns into this monster-like creature that she begins calling Lung. Right? And she knows that this lung is not her son, but it's the closest thing to it. So she loves this lung even though it attacks the dog, and then it starts attacking the people around her. And she's so protective of this lung, and he ends up going, like, leaving the house and, like, causing a little bit of havoc over the city, and they have to go and get him. And then finally that's when they decide to name him Monstrilio. So that's where I'm at. And that's my, like, first update for you. Right now it is looking, right before it was looking like a 1 or 2 star. Now it's looking like a 3 star. So we'll see. Let's see how we can keep that going. I find that I like it much more when I'm reading it along with listening to it. So that might be what I do. Alright everyone, hi, hello, we are back with a final review on Monstrilio, or Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. And in this book, we basically follow our main character. We follow a multitude of main characters. I did decide to listen to this one on audio, and if I wasn't following along with the physical book while I was listening to the audio, it did get a little bit confusing to be able to realize who it is, whose story we are following. So we start off with Magos, who is the mother of this monster thing. Well, this little boy who ends up passing away, and then she keeps his lung, and then the lung starts to grow and becomes like a monster. And then so we follow her story, and we follow her as she starts to raise this lung. Then we have Lena, which is another character. I believe it's like their friend or their cousin. I can't remember. And then we have Joseph, which is Magos's husband. And then we have M, which is Monstrilio. I believe it's Monstrilio. So this story, it started off pretty dark, to be honest. It was like, I was like, oh my gosh, like what a way to start a book. And it really had a effect on me, which I really enjoyed, because when a book makes you feel things, that, especially that early on, it's like, whoa, stab me through the heart, why don't you? If it starts off like that, then it has to pick up from here. Unfortunately, it didn't maintain that same pacing that I was like hoping, or that same, like, it didn't grip me. It hooked me, but it didn't hold me. Do you know what I mean? And so as the story went on, I began to slip a little more and more away from the characters, the story, and I started to not really hold as much attention as much as I wanted to for everything that was going on. It just wasn't affecting me as much. I was obviously paying attention, but it wasn't affecting me as much because it wasn't like interesting me as much as I wanted it to, and it wasn't impacting me as much as I wanted it to. And so I think what really started to confuse me was when we started switching to all these different viewpoints. And I know it's not that many viewpoints, but I just didn't feel like it was necessarily necessary to follow that many viewpoints and that many characters. I could be wrong. Maybe other people have other opinions, but in my opinion, I just didn't think that was much needed. Like, I guess it's okay. Maybe it's the fact that I was like listening to the audiobook, so I was constantly being confused when we were switching POVs if I wasn't physically following the audiobook. Like I got to like Joseph, and that's when I realized that we were following different main characters, and that's when I was like, okay, I should probably pick up the book when I'm listening to this. I didn't realize that we were switching POVs. So I was like a little bit confused. So that could have hindered my enjoyment for the story for sure. However, I didn't completely despise the story. It was okay. This is not something that I feel like I'm going to reread like ever again. So there's that. So I'm overall going to give this story a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't horrendous, but it wasn't like my favorite either. And it was an okay. So a 3-star it means it was an okay. A 1-star for me is like I hated it, no, burn it. A 2-star is like I didn't like it. A 3-star is it was okay. A 4-star is like I really enjoyed it, and then a 5-star is like this is like the greatest thing ever. So now let's wrap this whole thing up. Okay, so we are back. So what are my final thoughts on these 3 books? I already gave you kind of like a review of each book, right, Nezuko? A review of each book, but let me tell you my rankings. So at the very, very bottom, the book that I liked the least is probably going to be Mexican Gothic. I tried to give Silvia Moreno Garcia another chance, right? Because I read another book by her called Gods of Jades and Shadow, and it wasn't the greatest, so I was hoping I would like this a little bit more, but it looks like she's just not my cup of tea. So this is going to be at the very bottom. This is going to be like a 2.5 star for me, 2-star, 2.5 star. And then we have The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez. And, oh no, actually no, sorry. And then we have Monstrilio by Gerardo Samana Cordova. This one was like a 3-star for me. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like the best book that I've ever read. It was okay. I probably wouldn't reread it again, to be honest with you. So we have this stack right here. And then at the very, very tippy top, we have The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enriquez. I really did like the writing style. I liked the short stories. It felt like stories from like childhood, you know, like I grew up in a Hispanic household. So I just really enjoyed like listening to spooky stories, and it felt like I was like re-listening to like old childhood nostalgic tales. So I don't know if the nostalgia is what made me like the short story collection a little bit more, but I really did enjoy it. So this is my ranking. So 2-star, it's basically 2-star, 3-star, 4-star. No 5 stars, unfortunately, but this is my ranking for the books. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you guys want to, if you guys want to pick up any Hispanic author books, please let me know down in the comments below. I definitely wanted to pick up more books by Hispanic authors just because I want to read more of my culture. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!